All right, this meeting is called to order. We have a quorum with one, two, three, four, five, six, seven members present. Um, are there any adjustments to the agenda? There's one, Max is going to talk about a couple of things uh, regarding the downtown plan later. Anything else?
It's not the annual committee report, it's the semi-annual committee
And we
report.
should talk about. I mentioned that because if we publish it or go to the select board in April, it will have de facto become an annual report because that's when we did it last year. So we'll get to that and we'll talk about that. Um okay, anything else to add to it that it's not already on the agenda? Comments? Okay. There is one citizen, but he's actually there is a human being, but he's not a citizen of Waldeboro.
Well, no, we have someone else, Melissa, she wanted to make, she wanted, if we're doing public comment,
Let's
she
do
wanted
it.
to say something. So Melissa, if you're still there, this is the public comment period, if you wanted to chat. I say that, hopefully she will unmute herself.
Hi there.
Hi.
I emailed a letter that I'm going to read to you folks, but I just emailed it about 10 minutes ago. So it's possible that Max hasn't checked it out yet.
Oh, I've been in here the whole time.
Okay. Well, anyway, I just have this announcement of a community development project that I am working on, that I'm just starting on. So I'll just read this letter that explains the project. And like I said, I've emailed a copy of this letter to Max for the record. All righty.
Go right ahead.
Okay, great. Thanks. I'm a Maine resident who lives in Waldeboro part-time and is employed at Moody's Motel seasonally. I'm a designer interested in helping communities by creating grassroots projects that foster goodwill and financial gain. I'm not affiliated with any organization. This project is my personal goal. This summer, I'll pilot a project to advertise local businesses and attractions to tourists. I'm creating a map called A Backroads Tour of Waldeboro that will show a wide range of venues appealing to anyone looking to explore Waldeboro. This map of a self-guided tour will show travelers where to find a library, bakery, antique shop, theater, art studio, nature hike, bowling alley, farm, and gallery, all within the heart of our town. I will also create an engaging Instagram account to go with it that will feature visitor experiences and new venue additions that I'll put up throughout the season. As a receptionist at Moody's Motel, I've seen that many people want to do something nearby and don't know what's available. This summer, my tour maps will be personally offered to the estimated 2,000 guests passing through the motel this season. This face-to-face service provides instant feedback about Waldeboro to and from the tourism audience. This project offers a flexible marketing alternative that is responsive to the changes and challenges of small businesses and nonprofits. It is designed to help the owners of micro businesses, seasonal services, roadside stands, etc., who don't have the resources or capacity to join the Waldeboro Business Association and Chambers of Commerce. The plan is to expand the geographical area next year to cover all of Waldeboro. In January, I will be applying for a state grant that could cover most of the production costs for the expanded tour. I'm seeking a 501c3 organization to partner with as my fiscal agent. That's that.
Thank you, Melissa. That's really encouraging news. And there are a couple of other folks that I would love to put you in touch with who are eager to put together similar sorts of maps that go beyond the Waldeboro Business Association range. And I'd love to talk to you more about this.
How do we contact you?
I have my contact info. Well, it's just my email, which is the way I'd prefer to be contacted.
Okay.
And that's on the copy of the letter that I've sent in the email to the address of planning@Waldeboro.
I'm forwarding an email after this, apparently.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Thanks,
Great.
Jack.
Thank you for your letter, Melissa.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Take care.
Take care.
Yeah.
2,000 people. Yeah.
Next, we have a draft set of minutes from February. Did everyone have a chance to look over them?
Mhm.
I don't have any adjustments to it. It looks good to me.
Look good.
Anyone? Okay. Move to accept.
I so move.
Okay,
Second.
all four. One abstention. Minutes entered into the record. Chair report. I just wanted to say one thing. This is my soapbox moment. And this is actually the beginning of a letter to the editor that I want to write at some point. I've seen a couple articles recently about apartment complexes or housing projects in downtown areas and surrounding towns, including Newcastle, Belfast, and Rockland. And very often you come up against resistance from neighbors. And I find it really striking that the arguments that people use, which sometimes range from reasonable concerns to absurd concerns, miss the larger picture, which is that most Mainers object to suburban sprawl and want to maintain open spaces in rural places. And my general comment is the best way to fight back suburban sprawl is to have dense development in villages to keep the surrounding areas open, agrarian, and otherwise rural in character. So this is my moment saying anytime someone is proposing some kind of development in an empty lot in a downtown and somebody's complaining about construction noise or somebody's complaining about taking down a tree that was growing in an empty lot, these, my friends, are not valid concerns. We need as much dense housing in old established downtowns as possible if we want to keep the rural character of Maine. That's my soapbox.
I would just like to add another point, which is it's highly efficient to
Yes.
infill like that. It means you don't have to incur more taxes for extending, if you're going to extend water or sewer or something like that.
It makes financial sense. It makes sense in terms of the character of the state. It's anyways, that's all. Yes.
I'd add one thing.
Yeah.
In a town I used to live in, which was a rural community quickly becoming suburban,
Mhm.
they hit upon the idea of encouraging what they called cluster developments. It's not a panacea, and it's not as good as what you're suggesting. It's kind of a compromise. So if you've got 40 acres somewhere and someone wants to develop it
Mhm.
by ordinance, they can't do broad development. They have to do a cluster development.
Oh, I see.
And the density is predefined in the ordinance. That's another way of achieving or trying to achieve your concept.
Mhm.
Not as good, but
But at least there's some attention given to walkable places,
Yep.
somewhat bikeable, so that
Yep.
you can get places and do things without always needing your car to go
Exactly.
15 minutes somewhere.
Yeah.
But
I
don't look like Levitt Town.
Right, right. Anyways, I don't want to spend too much time on that because we want to devote a good chunk of this meeting to the sign review. But I'll turn it over to Max for
Town update.
town updates.
So we just had a planning board meeting last week. It was a after the fact pre-application for Beach Ridge Road. Went well, I thought. And we'll just wait to see when they come back. Next month, we'll have a joint subdivision with the Warren Planning Board. for a different subdivision on Fintown Road. I've also been asked a few times about this, so I'll say it now and I'll put out a Facebook post later. People have been asking about a cell tower on Friendship Road.
On Melvin's place.
Right, so the process for that is they're doing the federal environmental review right now, making sure there's no historic land being infringed upon, there's no sensitive habitats being destroyed. And if the people have local knowledge of that, they can share it right now. But this is just going through the federal review process. They do need to come for the local process, which is planning board approval, which is allowed in that district they want to build in. But that is something they do have to come for later. But it's not right now. So people who are worried, thinking, oh man, this is the chance I have to do something. No, the local process comes later. And I see Ruben and I see Barbara in the audience, so now you two are aware of it.
Appreciate that.
Let's see. Always grant season.
Mhm.
I think I just put one in for Lincoln County for a yellow book review. We're trying to get that for Sylvania so that we can apply for land water conservation funds in June.
Hmm.
Because I gotta keep that timeline. I'm really blank. The community development block grant for North Country Wind Bells is going in.
Mhm.
That would be 100,000, so they can relocate to here in Waldeboro where the Coastal Nutrition or the old crematorium was, for those who really want a throwback. And I'm just trying to think of anything else that probably won't get repeated multiple times. I think that's the downtown master plan, but we'll get to that later.
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
I think that's it.
Thank you. Next up, Cindy Butler.
Hi.
Let's get your PDF on the screen.
Yep.
This to me is the exciting phase. It's,
Just waiting.
Fun, right?
yes.
Will I be able to see it?
Are you on your phone or are you on your computer?
I'm on my computer and I'm getting in through the phone. I'm talking to you, audio's the phone, but I'm on the computer.
If you can visually see us, then you should be able to see the gateway sign options. I'm gonna share the screen.
Okay.
So you
Well,
should,
I was looking at you guys at the table, not the sign. There it is, okay.
yep, I just shared the screen, so hopefully you're seeing it right now.
Yep, I can see it.
Perfect. In that case, Cindy,
Can you shrink it down a little bit so the whole thing fit? No, the other way.
oh, shrink it?
Because the other pages are so like one page fits at a time,
Okay,
a little bigger. A little smaller, I guess. All right, good enough.
yeah.
I wish there was a way for this to full screen and have all the tools go away and just be black.
I'm a Mac person, so I have no idea
Yeah, but
how to make a full screen,
like
like a presentation mode, yeah.
that.
Sometimes when it's a PDF. There we go.
Press escape to show footing. Okay.
Well, that's if I wanna get to the Zoom items.
Yeah, okay. All right.
All right,
Okay. So, if you scroll down. This is option one we talked about. There's no changes here, but if you scroll down one more, I showed it in context. And maybe enlarge a bit. Okay, there we go. Like Goldilocks, right? Just right.
Right.
So, on every option, I showed it in context and I showed the Waldeboro sign as well at the same scale. So you get a sense of the size. And it's hard to see here, but I thought the stand could be shaped sort of like the 5-masted schooner.
That's interesting.
So it's, there's some people who really want to preserve the tagline, and we've talked about hinting to the 5-masted schooner, so I thought this was a good way to do it.
Zoom in,
What is that?
just the sign, the base of the sign.
Where's the hint?
It's on the stand, it's the black
right here. the
Yeah.
shape
little-
it's on.
Oh, the shape itself.
Yeah, the shape would be-
Sort of cool.
Yeah, And there'd be like grass growing over it, it wouldn't be.
Mhm.
But I was thinking those would be metal letters. And then the little motifs in the O were a 5-masted schooner, a clam, and an artist's palette.
Mhm.
And those would spin in the wind if we want, or they could be static. So that's option one.
I love a spinning motif.
So that's for that intersection then?
I just picked a good spot on Google Maps
Yeah.
that
okay.
didn't have anything in the way, and we've talked about different locations.
Yeah,
So
that's
this
what
right-
we're talking about, you know, like making it more convenient to go off of Route 1 to go down to
Yeah.
the Village and have that. marked.
Mhm.
We
Yeah, I
actually
like the sign, it looks great.
we actually never talked about it in that precise location, but what I like about that is it just by location suggests that this is Waldeboro
Yeah,
and
it's
this
like a
is
turn.
Waldeboro. It's sort of
Mhm.
both, right?
Yeah.
This Y shape.
And then next one. Plan.
It's your clam now in like a
Let's see.
concrete. So
It is quite charming.
It looks like it's smiling. It looks
Yeah.
like
it
teeth.
is,
Yeah.
it's smiling.
Or UFO.
It's very original, but it does kind of look like a hamburger from.
Well,
Yeah.
zoom in. And we're driving closer to it.
Or a spaceship.
Mm.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if we go this direction, obviously whoever creates it will, you know, make it more clam. Like
More
with the
clammy.
lot, sort of the ridges and the shell.
And maybe even empty on the inside.
Yeah, I kind of was carving away.
Mhm.
And because when you have a gap, so like the last O, you can see the gap overlapping.
Yeah.
I mean, the O overlapping the gap, and that kind of makes it busy and hard to see. So I'm wondering if it should be filled in.
Mhm.
So the clam maybe is not as open, or it's filled in the back, so Waldeboro stands out.
The letters were another color.
The letters could be another color. I thought metal would be nice. I had black originally,
Mhm.
but it was looking really dark.
Actually, you know, I never thought that the Camden Rockport gold lettering would be very appropriate for Waldeboro, but in this sign, gold
Yeah.
gilded letters would actually pop well against some kind of clam
Yeah.
shell.
Sonia has her hand up.
Sonia,
Well, yeah, well, I was thinking it just kind of, you could hollow it out, actually. The back becomes like you know how the Hollywood Bowl and they have the clamshell amphitheater? But it could be hollow and you can have the letters in the background, but what is it, like a model of a ship, maybe some waves and trees?
so actually what you're picturing is not clam-
Three-dimensional, I don't know, panorama, or what do they used to call them, dioramas, or?
Yeah, so it's actually what you're suggesting is not the clam closed, but the clam is wide open. And the
Yes,
let
and the bottom
back-
part is hollow with stuff in it.
uh-huh.
And then the top of the shell becomes like the backdrop, or like the stage, and you're looking at this in front.
That's a really different way to go about the clam idea. I think that's really valuable.
Well, now, and that would be interesting with like, I don't know, just the diorama idea that was mentioned, having different things could be, because I think we talked about like seasonal alterations and everything. So that'd be the way to do it.
Yeah. Let's go through the 4 options so that we can then discuss them all kind of in relation to each other.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sonia, I assume that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Let me unraise my hand. I have to hit those buttons. There it is. Okay.
So this one was, I just put placeholder images for now, and I have 2 options. I'm not in love with the shape, but this is a very simple welcome, but we could have different images like through the letters,
Mhm.
like a cutout and behind. And the one right below is if it's one image, and as you drive, you'd see your point of view shifts, so you'd see different pieces of it.
Mhm.
I really like 3B, shall we call it. There, to me, it gave having it be different slices of the same view, made it sort of calming and contiguous, as opposed to
Yeah.
the one on the top required a lot of attention, sort of like, oh, that one's different, that one's different.
Yeah, seeing this is helping me make sense of this concept that
Mhm.
you, in fact, you could have a version where it's a big rectangle and it's the forest image or whatever. And then the Waldeboro is kind of a white placard, like it could be an oval or it could be a rectangle like this, that's in
Yep.
front of that, clearly positioned in front of it, except for the O's. I can see this working. And the distance would be what, like, not that significant, like
Right, yeah.
front one would be here, positioned in front of,
Yeah, because people are driving by, so it's just gonna shift a little. It's just a subtle
yeah,
change.
they're
If you were
separated.
walking by, then greater distance, because people would look in and,
But the plane separation would just be a foot, say, something like
Yeah.
that, 10 inches a foot.
I
12
mean, we could make a little bit of a model with one O and
Yeah,
play near far like on Sesame Street.
yeah. Sign me up.
All of those letters.
I don't know.
You can see the comparison to the old sign.
Yeah.
We should come in with the next meeting with a, yeah,
Well, no, so the scale of from Google Maps is the same.
so this
So it
new,
would be considerably bigger.
it would be larger than the existing sign, the letters.
So if it were smaller, like the existing sign, the artwork through the O's would have to be very simple.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna lose it, you
Yeah.
know?
Right,
I don't have a problem with the larger sign. I think it's fine.
I
Yeah,
say go
me
big or
too.
go home,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm already home, so.
Okay, so that's number 3.
I really liked that. I was sort of looking at it like, hey, this one's cool.
Yeah, so this one was sort of a new option that came out of the discussions last time. Of if we took, like the one before we had the artwork playing peekaboo with you, and this is like, let's just have the artwork. And the art style reminds me of Hooked Rugs. This is from a tea box. We'd have to create something ourselves. We'd have to determine whether we like the sort of color blocking with watercolor, or do we want to book a rug that represents Waldeboro, but the simple shapes get across, the.
Make a great t-shirt.
It would.
Yes.
It's the marketing.
You love the merch.
That's the merch one.
Yeah.
Maybe another purpose too, other than a sign.
Reusable bags.
Oh,
Wants to
love-
advertise pay as you throw, that would be a terrible way to go.
Right.
Don't start that, not on this meeting.
Good to me.
Too late, Max.
Wait, just to finish your thought though, you're identifying an art style that, as other people are alluding to, could transfer to elements beyond just the sign.
Yeah, easy.
Typography, simple shapes and colors.
Mhm. This was my favorite type out of all of them because so the one before was a very classic, timeless type style that makes sense for, being founded in 1773, right? You want something classic and timeless. But the only sort of internal battle I had was Waldeboro has so much personality, and having a type style with a little bit of personality that still harkens to that timeless classic style felt like a closer fit for me. And the other thing too is your north sign and your south sign could have different artwork. It could be a different experience because these are such simple artwork. It says so much. Like you could imagine sort of the striping of farmland. And you'll have the river obviously, but you have different points of the river. But I think that simple art style makes it understandable very quickly as you cruise by and hopefully pay right.
Yeah, well, and the other thing about it is it feels a little bit like Dal Vipkar's work. There's a real, to me, there's a real feeling that, this is a Maine style. This is not a spiky New York style or something.
Hmm.
This is something that I immediately think,
And
Oh.
I added the welcome to you because of that sort of alliteration and to give a welcoming feel.
That's my favorite, one of my favorite parts about it.
Mm.
I mean, it's right there. My only concern is that the word Waldeboro perhaps doesn't read as well as it could. And I don't know what color you'd make it so that it
We
would,
could change it, that.
but
those
that's
shapes-
something.
Those shapes holding the type aren't great. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a sketch.
I mean, the colors aren't definitive right now.
No.
So I think
Okay.
that's.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's more the concept of it, this being a more of a traditional sign. There is a frame, and it's not out of the frame like some of the other ones we talked
Mhm.
about. But it lets you do a single coherent image which has type and
Well,
style.
and we've also talked about like if those shapes, because the Waldeboro style of rug hooking brought dimension. So imagine if this was fabricated in wood, you
Mhm.
could have those shapes be, different heights and beveled edges. And it
Oh,
could be kind of like little puzzle pieces you put together. Sonia has her hand
Yeah.
raised.
Yeah, for me, it's a little too generic, but you'd have to see the artwork or what you want to change it over with, because that is like, I've seen this everywhere, all over the place, so. It's more like something you'd see in the airport for something on the wall at the airport, like community art or something, which is kind of, but that's just my opinion, so, but it certainly allows for a flexibility of design, the square, and then you just go Waldeboro welcomes you, makes it very simple. And you could put the elements that people want in it.
Gotcha.
When you said it was generic, do you mean the style of art or what is displayed? in
Yeah,
there?
the style of art. Yeah, it's kind of kitschy, but I've seen this. Let's see. I'm trying to think. There's a couple of artists in different styles. Hopper, for one, pops to my head. The rolling hills with the rounded trees. Let's see. Grant Wood, 1930s stuff. This very New York. Actually, I would disagree. This is very New York style, but.
So
But-
now we have four. very concepts.
That's my opinion. I wouldn't want to, I'd like to see a different, like, picture design or something.
Gotcha. Thank you, Sonia. So now we have
Sure.
four very different concepts. And I think at this stage, it would be good to discuss which direction we feel or directions we feel are the strongest. But also we've talked in the past about doing something like printing these out on sandwich boards, hanging them up in the town office, and then putting a box of little circular stickers, peel off stickers, and anybody from the public can put a sticker on the one that they like the most.
It's called the dot vote, or you can put check mark near.
And then let that period go for 3 weeks, something like that. Come
You
back.
could also do it on Facebook too. You can do A/B
That's right.
testing.
Right.
So we have the banner, the clam. The,
You got the ship here, the clam,
the ship, right?
the
Cut out.
classic
The
cutouts.
peekaboos.
And then
Where's the ship?
The ship was the base.
The first one.
What you're calling the banner.
Yeah, what do you call the
Oh,
banner?
I keep missing the.
Because it had the
Ship.
bar right there.
Yeah.
It's a secret ship.
It's a secret ship.
I think
mean, if
that
that's
gives,
black
I think that
steel,
gives
that would actually be
Waldeboro a
sharp.
better base.
Sorry?
I think it gives Waldeboro the lettering a better base to sit on.
Yeah, I mean, the other ones could have whatever base.
Yeah, no, I know, but that. Whatever,
Yeah.
might as well be a hull of a ship, right?
Why not? I mean, it kind of gives you that double take effect. That clan does
Definitely.
too, though. I mean, quite honestly. I
Definitely.
would quadruple take that thing.
I like the idea of sort of, checking people's temperature on this and getting those 4 pictures up.
Yeah.
Cause you could. This is all all pretty good work, and it wouldn't take a lot to twist my arm to make me pick any one of these as my favorite. I'm leaning towards the square, the T box style. There's something about that I find sort of relaxing and welcoming, and
Key box, huh?
I'm probably calling it the wrong thing. I'm bad at art. That one, something about it calms me down. I don't know why.
The single square sign. kind of-
Yeah,
That'd be good.
it would be, wouldn't it?
We need to calm Ruben.
I do need to be brought down a peg.
It's gonna make people drive slower too. They'll be
Oh, we like that.
"I'm
So,
calm now.
And maybe that's a utility. You mentioned having two kinds of signs. Maybe there's specific places for that kind of signage. Instead of telling people, hey, you're driving like a maniac, just like, hey, look how serene this is. Enjoy it, maybe.
so I think the language about this, if we print it out and do it online or one or the other is, these are concepts.
Mhm.
I think we just have to be clear with the language. This is not the thing. The typeface could go in a whole bunch of directions in any one of these. This is a concept.
Yeah.
And maybe a simple way to describe it, like you just said, banner on black steel ship, describe them in terms of like, give them a name. This is a concept. Concept do you like the most, not which image do you like the most. I just want to push
I
that.
think it's gonna be really hard to get people to think that way.
I know, but you just, because,
Banner thing you could put with the ship. you could
People are
put
quite literal.
village
Yeah.
underneath that way.
yeah, sure. How do people feel about the timeline of doing this, now? Like, put stuff up online or elsewhere, Monday, and then give people 3 weeks and come back in a month and assess? Yeah,
Taxes are due the middle of May, so you're gonna get a lot of people in the town office at that time paying their taxes, so we're in the time frame.
okay.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is, do we feel like this is good enough to put out to the public, or do we want to see another revision? That's what I'm asking the
Where
group.
do you want to narrow it down?
I would, I would recommend a further revision. You want something closer to what it's supposed to end up as. Closer to a final design, like a concept's not gonna mean much to most people, it's like, oh, so it's not gonna look like this, so what's the purpose of voting on it?
Well, the purpose of voting on it is so that Cindy doesn't waste her time. In other words,
Right.
each one of these could take 100 hours of Cindy's time, just doing any one of these.
Yeah, like that piece of artwork, creating that, and if there's two different ones, that is
Yeah.
a substantial amount of time.
Right, that's a really good point. If we pick one of these, Cindy can go back to us next month and have 3 versions of that one. So that's why we want to get a sense of what people are excited about or what people feel like is too kitschy or too generic. Jen has her hand up.
I was wondering, Cindy, how much work would it take to do a little bit of shading on the last version, the square one, Waldeboro welcomes you, blues and greens. If you could do just a little bit of shading to give the idea or illusion of how it might look in your concept of having a little more dimension.
Yeah, if that's one of the ones that we want to move forward with, I can refine further
Mm-hmm.
Just look.
and add shading, yeah. I mean, I just popped artwork that existed in there just for it to.
Yeah.
Okay. Alec.
I just think more contrast of the Waldeboro lettering.
You got it.
Okay, so okay, let me just reframe this. One option would be eliminate one option, so we go down to 3.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And
Or even
then
2.
present that. Okay. Could we just do a very informal poll? How many people feel like we could lose number 1? You would lose number 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that. It's too complicated.
This one's too complicated, okay?
Kind of kitschy.
The letters on the ship. 3 people feel that.
This one doesn't need refinement though, so.
True.
I-
Okay.
It's
How many people feel that we could drop the clam?
Me, I do.
Wow. Okay.
That's out.
All right. That's very clear.
It's really fun. It's complicated.
All right.
It
All
would
right.
make a great parade float, like let's turn a vehicle into this. place.
Yeah, I think it would make a great parade float.
Right? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, make it close.
Yeah,
I still want my
that-
coin up version at the park.
okay.
Someone's gonna. get
Oh,
some-
it would be great at the park.
There you go.
All right, so we have a potential, there's a future for the clam.
Yes,
It's elsewhere.
not as a sign.
Okay,
Sign for
number-
Venice, though.
okay, number 3. Do people feel really strongly about this one? Does anyone feel like they want to drop this one? How many people want to drop number 3?
I almost want to keep this one because I think it's the closest to a control,
Yeah,
whether people
Yeah.
want to try and stay close to the original.
Yeah.
okay.
I think that's a good point, Max.
I'd make it an oval shape versus what that is. I don't know what that is. It looks like more like a stop sign. I don't know what that sign shape is somewhere, but yeah.
Looks a
Could
little.
make it all an oval or a rectangle.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. climate change.
Stick it in
And
its
said
mouth.
it has a clam kind of oval vibe.
Clam-esque.
Okay. So number 3 has a kind of a control. I get that. And then it sounds like a lot of people feel that number 4 is worth exploring.
Oh, yeah.
I like
Um,
that before.
Yeah.
A square, a rectangle that has a graphic style and the lettering and welcomes you.
And
Yeah.
t-shirt. And.
Bags and hats.
Bags,
This
Yeah.
kind of thing, right?
Maybe a tattoo.
You know.
Varsha goods.
Every little
It is in your
flag
place.
belongs.
So, okay, all right, so here's what I think. I think we should just drop the clam. I think we should develop 3 and 4, and I feel that we should present number 1 because
Mhm.
I love number 1. I'm biased.
And as the chair, you can.
I actually think that number 1 is kind of great,
Is that
Can I add something?
but that's my thing. Hold on, just say Alex got a
that
point here.
number one?
No, that's number 4.
Ship.
And number 1 is the single letters, the individual letters with the
little-
turning elements.
So bottom.
Yeah.
That might invite a little bit of public interaction. If they get too shapy or like things, what's gonna, you know what I mean?
Need people going up to it?
Going up to it, and messing with it, yeah.
Maybe
For
that's
some
what we
reason,
maybe that's what we want.
I don't know. You got to think too about the
Hold on,
weather.
wait, one person at a time. Jen, go ahead.
You want to think too about all the weather we've been having these last few years. The winds have been ridiculous.
Oh, yeah,
I-
that's the point, though.
That's the point.
The wind-
Okay, I just don't know if it would break it.
Oh, no, this would be metal.
They're meant to turn. That you'd oil them once every 2 years. And
Yeah, someone would be
Maybe.
there with a WD-40, hear them squeaking.
Yeah,
Great.
actually,
Time to go back
Yeah.
inside and stop looking at it.
Yeah, Jen, go ahead.
it's a cute idea. I also am intrigued by what someone pointed out, I don't know who it was, that we might consider different signs at north and south. As a
Or
thought,
variations on the
You-
same
this-
or
element.
variations, yep.
As well.
Like this one could have 3
Could have an
motifs
alewife, it could have,
on the southern and 3 different motifs on the northern.
The other thing too is this one is right now is near the river. Whereas the other side of town coming out towards town is more of the rural kind of not water side of town.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so
Alex
just
has his hand up.
just to reframe, okay, go ahead, Alex.
Make the letters reflective, day glow or something.
That could be done too.
So when your bar lights
Oh,
hit,
that's funny. They could light up at night, huh, Alec?
yeah, or just reflective
Mhm.
for the
Yeah.
car.
All right, so I want to move on.
Yeah,
We have one
I-
comment
I-
here.
I would just say, the control, I'm sort of confused what a control is, like if everyone on the committee is not so excited about it. If you put an option out there, you are asking for votes,
Right.
and if you are really wanting people to think more about 1 and 4, I would just have them think about 1 and 4. Because if they pick the one that you don't like,
that's not.
you're gonna have a big question about how you deal with public opinion. So,
Did people not like this one?
Is that like naming?
I like it.
I think
think
control
it's
may be
real
the wrong
positive.
word. I
It
think it's a
appeal-
more
yeah.
traditional
It
design.
appeals to
Traditional
traditionalism.
probably would be
Yeah.
the better way.
And as far as the public picking something we don't like, the whole point of a vote is we don't want to get stuck inside our echo chamber.
Right. It's not about us. It's about the public.
That's right, and also what people vote on isn't the over determining factor. It's not. It's just to get a sense of what concepts people are drawn to, or at this stage. So we're looking at 1, 3, and 4 to put out. When, Cindy, would you feel comfortable sending us something or printing something out to put up?
Do you want like descriptions and?
I think it would be good to emphasize the conceptual nature of them. And if there's any more refinement to do on the images. Even as, you know what, a really simple way of dealing with like number 4 would be just have like fourth concept and then have 2, you could take the same thing and then just put a hue filter on it and change it all to red or something. Just to get a sense of like,
Yeah, I can switch up the artwork too.
I mean, just to present to people, like, it's not just this, it's this or this, it's the concept of it.
Cindy, the other thing that's possible on the 4th one, when you're trying to make Waldoboro highlighted, is simply to outline Waldoboro in black or something, or some other color to make it pop.
Yeah, I think the background color is too faint. I would definitely add contrast to it. I was just stealing the color from the existing art,
Right.
but it should be darker, really.
I love those colors though.
Yeah.
The pastels, not too
I
dark.
do, yeah.
I like the strong green
It's
too.
springy.
Yeah, it definitely looks
Good for
spring.
this time.
I
of
think
year.
everyone's just feeling they're excited about spring.
Maybe that's it.
That might be it, yeah.
And then
That's
this-
true.
The description of this last one, you should probably add that Waldoboro distinguishes itself by having the largest blocks of continuous wilderness in this area of Maine.
From Kittery to
From
Belfast.
Kittery to Belfast. And you could say that these extended shapes are gesturing that we live in a more protected, largely undeveloped, in a positive sense, area, and that is a distinguishing factor and one that attracts people to this place. So there's the rug hook dimension, of course, but also this connection of large blocks of land that create spaces for recreation and enjoyment and other activities.
Great. All right, we're gonna move on. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you,
To
Cindy.
be continued.
I really like one.
Okay, Anne, can you just give us a quick rundown? What I'd like to do with this report is make a final form and then present it to the select board.
I'll stick the 6-month, I can't find the 6-month report. And so if you could send that to me. I
Oh,
will
from
stick
last
them all
year.
together.
From
Yeah.
last year. Yes, I'll pull it up for you.
So, yes, what I've got here is what I was able to take out of our past 6-month minutes and so forth. And of course, the first activity, and this is out for people to review and to correct me on. So if I know that Jen's last name is Merritt, not Merrill, I have corrected that. Activity, we've put out the RFP, we've evaluated proposals, we chose Cindy. There's a question about the speed table. There's also, I've noticed that the automatic sign, speed signs are no longer working. Is there something?
They're aware of it.
Yeah.
It's been plowing. They haven't had time to get to it. Yep.
Okay.
Actually, the speed tables doesn't need to be in there. All that needs to
Okay.
be in there is the website. That's the other thing that we did. In terms
Yes,
of
I jotted that down. Yeah, I thought that was part of the prior 6 months, so.
Oh, okay.
So I'll add that. In April, one of the things I'll do tomorrow is call Julie to set up a date for sometime in April when the head of DPW and she, and I hope you, Max, anybody is invited, we'll walk through the Worcester lot to see what we can do to make this more obviously a parking space with stripes and other things.
without investing a ton in design changes and so on.
Oh, precisely. I mean, just like, let's just make it usable and then we can.
There was a concept drawing done by the students.
Yep,
You still have that,
I
right?
do.
Okay.
Yeah, we have that.
I mean, maybe that's a place to start.
Well, when I did the forum and I was really trying to get people to talk about that, it shifted from the Worcester parking lot to parking in general. And let's do things beyond just the parking lot, which great spirit behind that.
but,
didn't really help me with what actually needs to go into the parking lot.
right.
Well, when I took, sorry,
Go ahead, Anne.
what I took away from the town forum was that what people wanted to happen at the Wooster lot was for it to become obviously a parking lot with obvious parking spaces where you
Right.
could obviously park and not be dispossessing somebody who's a resident in the Friendship Street stuff.
Right.
And possibly think of what the heck to do with this cherry tree. And even if not, I think we can make the place more function better as a parking area, even without I forget, they were gonna stick 78 spaces in there or something like that.
So, and my suggestion is to include this in the report, present this to the select board with a recommendation that we do something this year that costs a very low or nothing amount,
Mhm.
to make the parking lot more usable. Not something that's gonna require $100,000 in
Right.
engineering study, something that can be done in the next 3 months with zero or limited funds,
That'll make the business owners very happy.
right?
Yeah.
It would make me very happy.
Okay.
And to include the approach down Main Street towards the bridge and up
Mm.
as areas to.
So that's a,
Landscape.
that's a separate one, which
Maintain
she's, that's a
that's-
separate one, which
that's
Anne
the
is about to
next-
get to.
That's the next bullet.
Okay, yeah,
Additional matters that need discussion with Julie and the DPW.
all right.
Ways
Have
to make.
have they solved the issue on the entranceway between what used to be the furniture place and the building next door? There was a part of that area that was falling in, like almost like creating a hole, just collapsing.
Jen, you're gonna have to help me with this because I have no idea what used to be the furniture shop. I know it feels like I've been here a
The
million
one,
years.
sorry, the one
On
the
the
guy
first
just left, the guy's got on the market. It's right next to the Narrows on that part that's just the little
Oh,
hill walking down.
CDK.
Are you talking about
CDK.
the walk from
Oh,
Friendship
yeah.
to the parking
Right,
lot?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's what they're talking
Oh,
about.
that's another place, another
Like
thing.
opposite the laundromat.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
across from
I know where that is now. Yeah, I had no idea what we were talking about, so now I do.
Yep.
So to go back to your point here, something that to present to Julie and DPW, but also to talk about with the select board is that we're thinking about how to make the approach via Route 32 more attractive.
Right, that's a totally different topic, yes.
Can we make sure that the students, the interns that Max worked with, at least that the work that they did gets considered?
My concern with that is that, I mean, that can be something we say we'll bring up for future consideration, but what
Okay.
I really want to have happen is something, A, that gets done, and B,
Now,
that
this
gets
season.
done fast and cheap.
Okay,
And with due respect to these people, I know they've worked very, very hard. I have a couple of issues with their design, in part because it does nothing to allow parking for bicycles.
I love the bicycle racks.
So, yeah, I think we've got, I know some people who are willing to donate a couple of bike racks if the town can find a place to put them.
Great,
Great.
So that's another thing to emphasize.
That's here, it's under the first plans bullet, it's, like third from the bottom.
Mhm.
The issue with bullets, it's harder to find things.
Bike rack installation.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I will totally note that, this is an intermediate step. Of course, nobody thinks that putting stripes on dirt is going to be a long-term solution. But it will, at least for the summer, hopefully, if we don't get a lot of rain, help people understand where they can park without inconveniencing people.
Great.
Yeah, is that our hand up?
Sonia,
Yeah, I was thinking on this list, instead of bullets, put numbers like 1, 2, 3 in order of importance. So you can say you rank them. Like, we want to stripe number 1 is to stripe the parking lot. 2 is an entry exit type thing. That's just a thought.
Absolutely, yep.
This is a great document, by the way, Ann.
Thanks.
It really.
I mean, we
Yeah,
have,
we're going.
we have some really great conversations here, and I'm trying to sort of
Yeah, you're.
move us to
great.
the next place.
Taking some action.
Good.
So, and talking about, this improving the approach from 32, we need to have someone who's sort of going to be the person who owns this.
I sort of did, didn't
That's you.
You brought it up, but I didn't know if you wanted to have it
I?
dumped on.
I
you.
already own it.
Okay, all you.
So is the Madonic headed tide beautification effort, was that driven off of what I was bringing up earlier?
This seemed to have jumped off from your thought of just doing the immediate approach from 32. And then there was a discussion of the head of tide beautification, the possibility of bike paths, possibly coming from the park and ride down, which, I mean, all of this was much more involved.
So like a budget thing, year one plan is this,
Right.
year 1 to 3 maybe is the head of tide and the other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, totally. We can put this in near term, medium term.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
never done this for us before, so I wanted to
No, this is great.
just put it down.
You got
Could I make a suggestion as well to think about where medium to longer term,
Mhm.
this fits into the budget process? Which
Mm.
town department is going to be responsible and allocate the money
Right.
needed to do it?
So you know your
So-
target.
You pinpointed where it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
fester.
I don't know. That's great.
Sonia?
Yeah, well, same thing when it's on the improving the view. I would say limb the trees, clean up and repair sidewalks, and trim the brush back. That's an immediate thing that can be done very easily.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I think that Sonia's making a great point. This is the thing to emphasize to the select board at the next meeting.
Right.
We'll submit this report and say, this is what we recommend be done now. And to your point, over the next 1-3 year plans, we need to talk about what we're asking for and have clear plans. So do you want to keep going through this point by point?
Well, we can jump around. We can, for instance, the downtown decorations. I asked about it at one point. Somebody said that some gentleman did it of labor of love.
Ted Wooster.
Ted Wooster, okay, hence Wooster parking lot. What are his things stuck in a barn somewhere? Would they need to be replaced?
Luke might know. His
Okay.
son, Luke.
Remember the heat.
What's involved in, I mean, this is something, again, if somebody owned it, that could be something they could go off and research.
So I think the way to phrase this is, the EDC recommends that we organize or that we spur organization at the community level to bring back holiday decorations. It's sort of, we have to frame these in terms of recommendations to the select board, but also to the community for
Mhm.
other people to organize.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah, on that note, in terms of the downtown cleaning up that we're talking about, if shopkeepers could take care of the area of front of their stores up to the curb or down over the curb to the parking.
The Worcester parking lot.
yeah.
No, this is.
No, to
on
the street.
You're talking about
on
the street.
Talking about the street.
Friendship Street.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, it's incredible. There's middle of summer, there's weeds growing up everywhere and
Mm.
stuff accumulated and falling into the corners and.
Yeah, we gotta have a
and that-
sharp
and
looking
that- and
street.
that bulletin board.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my.
Sonia, is that it? You have your hand up again?
Yeah, talk to the garden club and see if they want to do any wreaths, because Camden and Rockport, their garden club decorates the street lights and stuff with floral things. It's something they do annually. Maybe the garden club would be interested in doing something like that.
We're
Not on a
also,
large scale, but
we also need to talk to, she wrote to me today about the garden boxes for the signs. So that's,
Yes,
we have to talk to her anyways.
Carol has been in touch with me about that as well.
and I don't know, we might want to suggest, but I don't know, it's not part of it. Do an annual street cleaning with the street sweeper. Like, we can rent one and do it, because they're cleaning the streets in Rockland now of the winter debris. We have a lot of rural roads, but there's a lot of debris built up on the sides of the roads and stuff. Maybe there's something that might be considered to help beautify Waldeboro's, get something like that rented, or, you know.
We do spring pickup every spring, but it's later in May usually.
Okay.
The
shellfish one you're talking
Yeah,
about?
exactly.
There's another one this year too. Actually, there are three. There's one the first weekend in May, first weekend in August. Forget how it's. But
Yeah,
it's
Is that in the streets, or is that people volunteering to pick up trash on the roadside?
that is people volunteering, not
Yeah.
Stever.
No,
Now-
no, I'll send the select board, because it's really, it's a huge mess on people's properties. Everybody complains about the big, it's like, I mean, there's drifts of dirt.
Yeah, and that's also a budgetary thing, so that's a little bit beyond
Yeah.
the scope of what we're doing right now, but it's a good point to bring up. In the interest of time, I just want to kind of hit the big points in the rest
Right.
of the report.
The database of vacant properties, I talked to Daryl, he said nothing like this exists, that I should talk to you to
Of course he
see
would tell
what you knew. And what I'm guessing we will probably need to do, since I think the database probably exists primarily between your ears, Max, would be for
Sorry,
Alec.
if you put me for surgery, I'm gonna be
I know, we
be
would,
ticked off.
Alec and I would sit down with you and maybe even buy a few cups of coffee or something and just, you know, start putting it together and then go from there. Cause I figure anything we have is better than nothing. And anything we have that you will already know, so that you don't have to be bothered every time somebody comes asking for asking that question, will be long-term ahead of the game, although it may be painful for the, hour or so that you're talking to us.
We can check, I won't ask questions now. I feel.
Right.
We'll just chat
We'll
about it
talk later.
Yeah.
But ahead of time, we've talked about that. Again, we recommend that we publicize, because every so often we find these things. I forget, was it Sonia who came up with the Federal Home Loan Bank Board, or Max?
Yeah.
And it's renewed.
Okay.
And so if that's something, should the community navigator know about this? Should this be posted up in the absolutely overcrowded entryway here?
Right.
How do we make sure that this is put up? And then our ongoing theme is trying to create support for housing. There's the piece that the way I thought I would talk about it is, we are taking these under consideration. We're doing research, and when we have a chance, we will make recommendations to the planning board.
Yeah, okay. And thank you. So actually, those are the big points, and all we need to do is sort of package this in terms of recommendations. Anybody else have anything really important to add to this report? Because I or Anne will, or both of us will take this to the select board as soon as we can.
I think you've got a great core document.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good ideas.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you for your time, Anne. Do you want to talk about the
Could you
downtown
shoot
plan?
that around when you finish up the final one? That'd be great.
Yeah, I think it's finally open. So I mentioned this last time, the downtown master plan. Funny thing, the town spent or got a grant to make this plan back in 2011. And despite everything, I don't think it was ever officially adopted the way it should have. It was approved by the select board at the very end, but it needed to be approved by the legislative body, which is town meeting. So I don't think this has ever actually been officially approved, which means I can't use this to create a downtown TIF district, which can help fund a lot of these projects. So here we are going through a revaluation, and I'm gonna miss out on quite a lot of money because we didn't have this done or approved. There's community development block grants for downtown revitalization, which gives a slight edge to towns that have this passed. So when we're talking about getting funding to do a lot of these projects, that was the goal of the downtown forum, to get some ideas and get the parking lot all set so I could go for that. But I need this.
Okay.
First, got it.
Jen, you have your hand up?
Yeah,
Please
I
tell
know
me.
we had the public meetings that were required. Is there any way to research the warrant articles back in that period?
I will-
say
I'll
6
triple,
months?
I will triple check.
Yeah, We
That-
would have had to do it, because I think we were having the meetings
I will-
spring, summer.
Yeah,
So we might have voted on it either in November or June.
I will triple check. It would have probably been the November one. Because I see the minutes from the select board meeting saying that they are adopting it. But I
Yeah,
didn't find a warrant article, so I will triple check that.
okay. I
Now,
just would hate to have you do all the extra work if you didn't have to.
no, that's actually the funny and sad thing at the same time, actually. So I talked with the folks at the Department of Economic Community Development, and they said that if we believe that it's still pretty accurate what this plan shows, and we can still approve this and make amendments as we want. And I actually did go through it. A lot of it still is actually relevant today. So
Mhm.
15 years later, a lot of this being relevant is great, but I don't know how to feel about that.
Right.
Well,
So the thing that was interesting was we immediately upon approval of that plan. And that plan was done with a very, very good consulting team, as well as the man who had been the planner in Rockland for, I don't know, 20 years. And that's why the timeline and all of that stuff was done so professionally, where he recommended to us which kind of grant and or CDBG or other thing that we could apply to in a great timeline. However, we had economic problems, and the resources we wanted to use that were written in the timeline went away for the next like 2-3 years. And so we were unable to move forward on that, which is sad. And I know you're sad to see that we're still working on some of the same things, Max. But
So
yeah,
So that's actually why not much of this plan has to change. Like, I
Right.
don't, things that were not relevant anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why Knox County was mentioned as a microloan option, because we're not in Knox County, so I don't know why they referenced
it
that.
was, I think it was because at the time, the planner over in the county was, so different pieces of money were going through different areas, and people had different connections in
Okay.
different,
So,
right?
Jen, I just want to interrupt for a second. I think the point right now is can we submit this to the voters in June?
yes,
And which revisions would be needed to be made
Yeah.
before that?
yep,
And
That- yeah, sorry for cutting off, but yeah, Jen, if we want to chat more about the details afterwards, it's fine. I
Okay.
really would just like to say what changes I'm suggesting, because
Go ahead. Yeah,
because either way, it's either we don't have a downtown master plan that we should have approved, and we don't want all this work to go to waste. Or we can make an amendment to make some adjustments that can
Yeah.
also include what Ann's been talking about tonight, although I don't know how many
Mhm.
things that I have in here that are from your list, so we can add that too.
and we want to use it, right, Max, to get money if you need to have something like that, right?
That would be nice.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah. So actually, maybe a couple more conversations actually between Jen and Max would be helpful in figuring out which amendments are
Mhm.
are necessary
Did that have the
But-
parking plan for the Worcester lot that was done by the University of Maine students?
later. That was done later.
This downtown master plan doesn't, but it does already reference starting to do some work in the Worcester parking.
Yeah,
lot.
I've read it. I just wasn't sure if that was still in, if that was in there or not, that part.
Yeah, and that's why I don't really have to change a lot of that. I can reference that we now have the Worcester parking lot, so we can do a lot of the work. But I mean, even just making a quick little update saying we did a downtown forum and we had the amendment process. I had the lines redrawn. Sorry, Jen and Sonia, that I don't have this up, but it's Zoom is being very wonky.
What does that represent, the lines? What's
This
inside?
is what the downtown would look like. This is what the downtown boundary is. Now, I did expand it to include the Pine Street landing.
Mhm.
I also wanted to expand it to get to the 80 gray area.
Okay.
So that we have that recreation, because the ball field and that little area that's just outside of, just right next to it, I would like to include that so I can get funding for a downtown park that keeps being talked about. I'm probably getting some grant funding to have that adjusted, because that's always kind of been on hold until the former 80 gray school has been addressed.
It's a great idea, Max.
Does that include the districts distinct, or is there some cut throughs the districts having them, or is that?
There is a cut through of, there is a cut through of the districts, like the downtown district itself is really close to that four-way intersection, whereas everything surrounding, like, and again, sorry that I don't have this more properly prepared, like, we have the Waldorf Theater included. Well, the Waldorf Theater is in the historic village district. And then I think the Pine Street Landing is in the village district, so this crosses a few districts.
What?
But so did the original plan as well.
Okay.
Sorry, Alec.
Who owns the patch of green and along here?
Which. That belongs to Henry Cabot.
That's a
But
conversation.
that's a
that
different
you
time,
guys should
yeah.
have. That's
Sorry.
that's a long
Yeah,
story.
Which
Okay.
piece of land you're
Yeah.
talking about? The land just south of the bridge?
On the
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
That's changed ownership.
Yes, that's, okay, well,
But
sorry.
you know the story.
Yep, I know.
So I'll get
Sorry.
together with you. and talk
Yep,
about
I
it.
can go over
Venus
that.
bill?
But a lot of this is also just getting rid of some outdated information. I don't even remember too many actions other than just
Good base.
updating the community development block grants, what we need to do for that. Obviously, still trying to get the historic district designation at the recognized at the federal level.
Yeah.
Establishing the downtown TIF, creating biannual review and amendment processes so that we can actually do this a little bit more often and have a much more thorough public outreach process. Redeveloping some slum and blight areas to encourage new commercial and housing projects that actually fit in the character of the downtown. I was surprised that wasn't actually included in the original, even though it's mentioning trying to designate a slum and blight
Slum
area
and blight,
in the
right?
downtown, so I was very surprised to see that. Correct, just updating the timelines to.
Is this
now-
for the June warrant
I would
to be
hope to,
approved by the assessory?
yes,
Oh,
that would
okay.
be my hope.
Max, I am just so impressed with the work you've done here.
Well, no,
Yeah, really.
I didn't, no, I didn't do most of this stuff.
Heads up.
The red is me, that's
Yeah, yeah.
it. But, I mentioned the speed tables because there was something in here about the Friendship Street intersection trying to get stoplights. We can't really do that, but we can do the speed table, so I'm just including that in there. And seeing how we can expand it outside of it, because that was something that was mentioned at the downtown forum. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna start talking fast, but I also wanna go home.
Really?
I would like to go home, yes. The streets and then streetscape improvements and just the general friendship block area, that
Yeah.
was a big component and a lot of it's just unnecessary time restrictive items, but it's still keeping the sole
Max,
thing, yes.
What if you send this to us
I could.
and have us read it, and anybody who has concerns, email you in a week?
Mhm.
And then we'll be prepared to discuss concerns with the plan at our next meeting. And we can, you know, if there are no concerns, fine. If there are concerns, you know,
So
resolve them tickety-poo and it goes on the ballot.
what's funny is I just went over all of the changes. Everything's just repetitive at this point.
Cool.
So I'll still
you-
send it out.
Yeah, where, yeah, right, with
Yeah.
marked up.
Just
Yes.
get another pair of eyes on
Yes.
it, but otherwise,
I-
I'm all for it.
But in terms of the timeline, and I feel this is why Bob's raising his hand. I need to have this go to the select board / Pam. Well, 10th, I think, is your select board meeting, so that's why I don't know if I can wait the full month. It's more of just
So-
everyone take a look at it,
All
see
right,
what changes should be done, and then I can.
within a week, we should, if there were any issues, or if it's okay, we need to get back to you and
That
tell you.
would be
And
appreciated.
then you have to do a public hearing?
Not before the select board, but it would happen before the town meeting.
Okay.
And I'm gonna triple check what Jen said, that maybe it already did do a warrant, so that maybe we don't have to do this. And I wasted a Thursday.
But we don't want to miss this.
Right,
Yeah.
I would
So-
not like to miss this for a whole year.
Yep.
To save you some time.
Yes,
It did not appear in the June 2012 warrant,
okay, that's June, November,
2012,
okay,
okay?
all right, and this
Study
was,
was done in 2011.
all right, and that's the final plan, got it.
Okay.
So that's what I'll double check.
All right, any other comments in the committee? Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.